11/11, May 20th, 2022. Another wonderful Aurora goddess risen and resurrected. Special thank you to everyone around me being played. I still love you guys. Thank you, Tyler Goldsmith, 27, Stephen Thompson, between 15 and 25. Thank you, Carol. You didn't have to, sweetheart. It's on purpose, I know. Anywho, so we have a special message today. And we're here on Judges 19:20 with the most wonderful events as we are undoing all galactic confederate timelines that no longer serve. So, watch this. There was no king in Israel. There's a certain Levite staying in the remote mountain of Ephraim. So consuming a night, a Levite staying. He took himself a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. But his concubine played the harlot against him and went away from him to her father's house in Bethlehem. And was there for a whole month and then her husband arose and went after her to speak kindly to her and her father and bring her back again. Now, long story short, he went after the wife in her father's home. His father took him in and fed him bread and had him rested. He approved upon him. And then he took the daughter to leave. And then they were traveling. So on the way, they found another man while traveling that led them into his home. And then there were some, horny creepers like you all that were around, and they're like, we need to right now. So then the new host says, well, I'm not gonna give you the guy, because they wanted to rape the guy, right? He's like, I can give you my daughter and his wife you can play with. So then the men would not heed him, so took his concubine and brought her out to them, and they knew her and abused her all night until morning. And when the day began to break, they let her go. Then the woman came in as the day was dawning, fell down at the door of the man's house, where her master was in. And then the master rose, saw the fallen wife. That's when he chops her up in 12 and spreads her out limb by limb throughout Israel. And then they speak up, and the children of Israel, they find out from Dan to Beersheba about what's going on. So the leaders of all the tribes of Israel presented them in the assembly, and they got 400,000 foot soldiers who drew the sword. Similarly, I now call upon my 200,000 Earth Central and 145,000 Earth Surface, and this has nothing to do with the little trolls that are trying to rob my resurrection, with all due respect. So then they went away, and by God's command, the first day of battle, they killed down to the ground 22,000 men of the Israelites that were responsible for this act. and it goes down. Then they cut down to the ground 18,000 more of the children of Israel to the ground. And then the Ark of the Covenant, which is what I have received. This is the Ark of the Covenant. My galactic covenant is the Ark of the Covenant from our, Abraham, Moses, all the way to the forefathers here, Washington and onwards. It's the same beings of the Galactic Confederates is how now I am able to make amends. And I, am very grateful for the White House. I feel like it's child rearing, And so then the Lord defeated Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed that day 25,100 Benjaminites. So one Benjaminite messed with one woman, and they killed over thousands of hundreds of beings within no time, just because one woman was raped. Now, the Lord is very fierce. And yesterday, as soon as I found out that my mother spoke, and I was lied to and used sexually to be robbed of my resurrection, I called upon all my nuclear galactic troops that actually showed up for me first in Fruitville, and they are now positioned strategically everywhere needed, because war has now been officially declared. So, heed not. This is red flags all over creation. The Galactic Confederates are ruthless, and I am the only resurrection. So I know who my allies are. They have already made themselves very apparent. And I thank you all for the readiness to avenge Goddess lineage at any given moment. And I have also wished harm upon nobody. The absolution that I sent out yesterday for the field and global redemption is for only those who have true Christed hearts, not Christian or any kind of your religions or belongings or sects or cults of those who fall under the fallen that keep me just derisorially slaved up and poor for them to go around and fornicate, making pretend that, oh, you have many versions and experiences, so we are only here for experiences. This is literally like even a 1-year-old right now, after the COVID thing, cannot say these things, because anybody who doesn't know by now, we are souls having a human experience. I'm not sure, but the whole patriarchy is going to be undone. And I thank you all for being so deliciously, disgustingly, hookeristic, abominable in the way that you just treat yourselves in order to end the God rule. I thank all the prostitutes and the hookers and the terror brides for your genius federal fraud service. Thank you. This is Aurora, Goddess Archaeo, Mother of New Creation, Mother of all creation, Mother of all multiverses, Prime Creator. And I am looking forward for the final onslaught, because actual guidance revealed that my butterflying will only come through my own means. So all those spy pets and sperm tools and feeding me testosterone and sperm through ice to make me, a frigid ice cube, and get you vulgar, sold off, soulless hookers to just behave like absolute disgraces. I am very grateful. And to say people like my uncle, when I initially, because anybody thinking that, no, I had a deal with Anthony when I came here to David. We were going to bring David back to spread organic culture, plan the garden of House of the Future, bring all the actors through the portal that I've seen from Hollywood. They were all going to land. I had all the fleets of all the Rainbow, Diamond, Morningstar planes. I had told everybody about that, since even Robert Going, the lawyer, met me at Hilton Head Airport first time. Everybody knew the divine plan. Now, my fleets have no spaces for any of you. I am abominably regretful to have over-endowed you, but it goes as such. Treat everyone better than you ever expect to be treated, which is what I constantly do. And so for Fadi, my godfather, whom I sent the package to, when I then called them and I had sent an email to my father and godfather about being in Siesta Key and the plans of return to merge the gospel teachings with the Phoenix, and they said a blatant no. And then I called my godfather and I said, I'm online sending flowers to the house. He said, it's already too late for flowers. And at that point, I hadn't really had the awareness to know that they had already contacted the embassy, trained ISIS hookers, fraud for brides, that they had already preambularly set up for this whole breakdown, and to house them instead of me and everything else. So by the fact that the lawyers, namely Mark, denied me access to my own home, I now have reclaimed my home, and I have understood through my mother's, language she formed. It's like that movie, if you've watched it, that there's a movie where like two really weird women, like Chiquita, they live by a lake and they never seen humans. Like they're like some slave girls from some abusive guy who end up like speaking in tongues. Like they go whatever. And they're extremely weird and stuff. And they have no commonality in any so-called civil term. So upon putting her in the emergency room the first time, when the Syrian Anna came and picked me up from the St. George beach with the girls who were all participating in the secret rituals behind my back with my mother, whose maid had told me that my mother was gonna like go through something. I was sleeping over at their house and Joe was there, like the older brother, and he was my actual first like crush, even though we both loved each other, but then it's always the same. That's when Michael came in, the first Michael, and smashed the field. Every Michael has been the most criminal being I've ever met. So, so that's how the maid had told me that my mother was gonna just be taken And it happened 2 days later. We got picked up from the beach. They told me she was throwing up in the emergency room. And then look at that spy little thing. It can't. Then it goes and eats and everything. You know, biological warfare, nuclear warfare. And then just for you all to know too, when I went back to Ask the Future, they had set up in my living room like a whole birthday party with balloons for Alex's daughter, Rafaela. Happy birthday, Rafaela, like everything. And then they kept me at the door for 20 minutes to re-induce my mom so that she can't share her language with me, to keep secrets from me. And that's why, Rafaela, Archangel Raphael, and this here goes by, like, the landlord goes by, Raphael, like, for, like, the everybody cream for my, sodomizing procedure to, like, get me into the so-called game, whatever else. However, my mother might have tricked me when she told me to leave when Alex came in the room, for this outcome, for me to not resurrect. So everybody will be held accountable at face value beyond the grave, as I completely download the whole truth now. And I was shown how, like every song created by IC, which is the one here, ICU, whatever. Magali, Magalou, c'est notre chouchou. So they wanted to get me to be the like chouchou, that like little. Look, it can't stop. I'm telling you, spy programmed cats, like they tase them, and then they feed them accordingly so that they can shit and eat like at times to like divert, distract me for the other, pussy to like eat. And then it gets my essence, look, and then it smells my stuff. I'm telling you, these biochemically